Hey, Shalom, it's almost lunchtime and I'm in my orchard. You guys have seen me over the years doing stuff down here, made the duck house, hung up this bird feeder that a sister sent me. It's calm down here. If you hear the background, that's what nature sounds like. There's no cars honking, there's no mechanical noises going on in the background. It's just birds singing, wind in the trees. It's really pleasant. So I've come down here to plant some corn in the soil down here and use the duck water in the bins. I think there's one, yeah, right there, as the nitrogen-rich food for the corn. And I've got a whole section of it laying down on the downslope area of this place that's covered in black plastic to kill the weeds. So it'll be nice soft soil under there, and I'll use my homie and I'll get down there and I'll dig up the weeds and I'll plant that. And that's supposed to be possibly for us. We could eat that corn. I've also just planted corn for the animals. Not a lot, but enough. Something to help supplement. So I wanted to shoot a video today too because the last couple of videos I shot required editing and it's taking time to get them out. The ones where there can be text on the picture and music in the background and everything, they take editing. And when you're off grid, I use my phone to do all that, and it takes time to get them uploaded. So I do have one more coming. I wanted to do this video because it's a psychological, here, let me see if I can switch myself around too. I'm going to talk about a psychological thing going on, and I'm seeing it in this social media, where so many people, oh, that doesn't look right either, does it? I'm a little too short. Let me get a little closer. There we go. So many people are railing against our president, and don't get me wrong, I think if you have a justified reason, you should rail against your politicians, and you should talk to them, and you should let them know what you're unhappy about. But they're railing against him because he's not saving them from the virus. And it comes in more than one form. He does put out his opinion in his briefs, and what he's doing is he's putting out what his medical experts have told him, and then he's sprinkling that with his own opinions. And people just rail against that. Why didn't he shut the country down sooner? He did shut the country down pretty soon after China let people know this thing might be a problem. They did that in December, and he closed it down from Chinese immigration, at least, which is where the spread was. So that's where the one you'd want to shut it down, like on the 3rd of January. They say things like, why isn't he doing anything about getting more ventilators? Why didn't he use the government factories to make more masks? People, the government doesn't have factories. They're not in business. They have cabinets. They have organizations that handle things like the taxes and the defense of the country and the health of the citizens and so on. They don't have any factories. What else did they say? I'm trying to remember. He's an idiot. He's an idiot because he puts out this incorrect medical information. And what they're doing is getting confused. People are getting really confused. They don't understand how the government works. They don't understand how the medical system works. They don't understand how viruses work. And so they want to blame everything on Donald Trump personally. My cousin got sick with coronavirus and she didn't get a test. And he said 250,000 people got tests, more than anyone in the world. And she didn't get a test. Okay, well, 250,000 people, maybe more than other countries have tested so far, but there's 330 million of us, you guys. You're not going to get to 330 million people taking a test in 2 months of the virus happening. There weren't even tests for this virus. The tests had to be researched and created and then produced. And it's instantaneous. It's hysteria, and it really is sad to watch because as a grown adult, mature adult with a little bit of knowledge, these people really are very ignorant, and it makes me sad. So the psychological part of this that I think is real, and again, I'm theorizing. There are so many households in America with no father. I think 75% now. I mean, there's only 25% of the populace that's a married couple that have been married, for so many years. That means if there's only 25%, then 75% don't have that. They don't have a father figure in the house. And so I think what's psychologically happening is these snowflakes and these liberals who want somebody else to solve their problems they're manifesting Donald Trump is their father, and why hasn't he saved them from this danger? Which in a normal family situation, the father would be trying to take care of you. Just as like my husband has taken steps so that he and I are not being overwhelmed by this situation. They don't have a father in their family. He becomes the absentee father because he's, the top authority in the country, and right now it's a male. If it was a woman, it would be a mom thing, and you get all these people who expect the female president to do, a mom thing for them. They're expecting him to have saved them from this thing, and he's not. What his job is to be like if you picture America as a ship, he's the captain. He's to make sure we don't hit any icebergs and there's enough fuel in this guy and we're going to get it there. But he doesn't swab the decks, and he doesn't, hey, look, a ridgeback found me. Hello, how are you, Suki Pookie Dookie? He doesn't, man every cannon. Okay, come on. Good girl. Man every cannon on the ship. He doesn't cook the food down in the galley or run the medical part of the ship. He just makes sure that it's steering correctly and we get where we need to go. And he coordinates with other people. And that's basically what Donald's job is. He's not a doctor. He's not going to be able to give you sound medical advice from his own experience. He's going to repeat the things that his doctors who work for him, his cabinet doctors, Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx and others, he's going to repeat what they're saying, and he's going to reiterate it to let you know that they're, as far as he can tell, they're in control, and the things they're telling him are right, and we're going to handle the problem. And his other job, which I think he's doing a really good job of, is letting the American people have an assurance that this virus is not going to take our country down. And I think that's pretty smart, because think about Italy. If America was Italy, we would all be in a much worse situation, and we would be much more worried about what was happening. But because the captain of our ship is firmly at the helm and is handling on his level different things like asking private manufacturers to make more masks and ventilators, and instructing the military Navy hospital ships to go to the cities who are hardest hit, LA and New York, he's handling it on his level, and he's making sure that the ship's not going down. But it's not personal, folks. All this emoting on Twitter and on Facebook about how he didn't save your great aunt, or he promised everybody was going to get a test and she didn't get a test, is just silly. It's silly, and it's not how things work. And the best thing for people to do right now during quarantine, do a little civic research. Read some history books and some social studies. You've got a tick there, dog. And some social studies books on how our country actually works. Yeah, we got one. We got that tick. Yes, we did. Find out what the executive branch has power to do, and what Congress has power to do, and what the cabinet ministers actually do, and quit crying and whining about what Donald's not doing for you. All right, bless you guys. Look at that. She knocked it with it. Bless you guys. Shalom.